A Defenseless Creature by Anton Chekhov. In spite of a violent attack of gout in the night and the nervous exhaustion left by it, Kistinov went in the morning to his office and began punctually seeing the clients of the bank and persons who'd come with petitions. He looked languid and exhausted, and spoke in faint voice hardly above a whisper, as though he were dying. "What can I do for you?" he asked a lady in an antediluvian mantle, whose back view was extremely suggestive of a huge dung beetle. "You see, Your Excellency," the petitioner in question began, speaking rapidly, "my husband, Stutkin, a collegiate assessor, was ill for 5 months, and while he, if you'll excuse my saying so, was laid up at home, he was for no sort of reason dismissed, Your Excellency. And when I went for his salary, they deducted, if you please, Your Excellency, 24 rubles, 36 kopecks from his salary." "What for?" I asked. "Well, he borrowed from the club fund, they told me, and the other clerks had stood security for him." "How was that? How could he have borrowed it without my consent? It's impossible, Your Excellency. What's the reason of it? I'm a poor woman, and I earn my bread by taking in lodgers. I'm a weak, defenseless woman. I have to put up with ill usage from everyone and never hear a kind word." The petitioner was blinking and dived into her mantle for her handkerchief. Kistinov took her petition from her and began reading it. "Excuse me, what's this?" he asked, shrugging his shoulders. "I can make nothing of it. Evidently you've come to the wrong place, madam. Your petition has nothing to do with this at all. You will have to apply to the department in which your husband was employed." "Why, my dear sir, I've been to 5 places already, and they would not even take the petition anywhere," said Madame Stutkin. "I'd quite lost my head, but thank goodness, God bless him for it, my son-in-law, Boris Matveevich, advised me to come to you. You go to Mr. Kistinov, Mamma. He's an influential man, and he can do anything for you." "Help me, Your Excellency." "Well, we can do nothing for you, Madame Stutkin. You must understand. Your husband served in the Army Medical Department, and our establishment is purely a private commercial undertaking. It's a bank. Surely you must understand that." Kistinov shrugged his shoulders again and turned to a gentleman in a military uniform with a swollen face. "Your Excellency," piped Madame Stutkin in a pitiful voice, "I have the doctor's certificate that my husband was ill. Here it is, if you'll kindly look at it." "Very good. I believe you," Kistinov said irritably. "But I repeat, it's got nothing to do with us. It's queer and positively absurd. Surely your husband must know where you're to apply." "He knows nothing, Your Excellency. He keeps on, 'It's not your business, get away.' That's all I can get out of him." "Whose business is it then? It's I have kept them all." Kistinov turned again to Madame Stutkin and began explaining to her the difference between an army medical department and a private bank. She listened attentively, nodded in token of assent, and said, Yes, I understand, sir." "In that case, Your Excellency, tell them to pay me 15 rubles at least. I agree to take part on account." "Ugh," cried Kistinov, letting his head drop back. There's no making you see reason. Do you understand that to apply with us of such a petition is as strange as to send in a petition concerning divorce, for instance, to a chemist or to the assaying board? You've not been paid your due, but what have we to do with it?" "Your Excellency, make me remember you in my prayers for the rest of my days. Have pity on a lone woman," wailed Madame Stutkin. "I'm a weak, defenseless woman. I'm worried to death. I've to settle with the lodgers and see to my husband's affairs and fly around looking after the house. And I'm going to church every day this week, and my son-in-law is out of a job. I might as well not eat or drink. I can scarcely keep on my feet, and I haven't slept all night." Kistinov was conscious of the palpitation of his heart. With a face of anguish pressing his hand on his heart, he began explaining to Madame Stutkin again, but his voice failed him. "No, excuse me, I cannot talk to you," he said with a wave of his hand. "My head's going round. You're hindering us and wasting your time." "Alexei Nikolaich," he said, addressing one of his clerks, "please, will you explain to Madame Stutkin?" Kistinov, passing by all these petitioners, went to his private room and signed about a dozen papers, while Alexei Nikolaich still engaged with Madame Stutkin. As he sat in his room, Kistinov heard 2 voices, the monotonous, restrained bass of Alexei Nikolaich and the shrill, wailing voice of Madame Stutkin. "I'm a weak, defenseless woman, and I'm a woman in delicate health," said Madame Stutkin. "I look strong, but if you were to overhaul me, there's not one healthy fiber in me. I can scarcely keep on my feet. My appetite is gone. I drank my cup of coffee this morning without the slightest relish." Alexei Nikolaevich explained to her the difference between the departments and the complicated system of sending in papers. He was soon exhausted, and his place was taken by the accountant. "A wonderfully disagreeable woman," said Kistinov, revolted, nervously cracking his fingers and continually going to the decanter of water. "She's a perfect idiot. She's worn me out and she'll exhaust them, the nasty creature. Oh, my heart is throbbing." Half an hour later he rang his bell. Alexei Nikolaevich made his appearance. "How are things going?" Kistinov asked languidly. "We can't make her see anything, Peter Alexandrovitch. We're simply done. We talk of one thing and she talks of something else." "I can't stand the sound of her voice. I'm ill. I can't bear it." "Send for the porter, Pyotr Alexandrovitch. Let him put her out." "No, no," cried Kistinov in alarm. "She'll set up a squeal, and there are lots of flats in this building, and goodness knows what they would think of us." "Do try and explain to her, my dear fellow." A minute later the deep drone of Alexei Nikolaevitch's voice was audible again. A quarter of an hour passed, and instead of his bass there was the murmur of the accountant's powerful tenor. "Remarkably nasty woman," Kistinov thought indignantly, nervously shrugging his shoulders. "No more brains than a sheep. I believe that's a twinge of the gout again. Ugh, my migraine is coming back." In the next room, Alexei Nikolaevich, at the end of his resources, at last tapped his finger on the table and then on his own forehead. "The fact of the matter is you haven't a head on your shoulders," he said. "But this—" "Well, come," said the old lady, offended. "Talk to your own wife like that. You screw. Don't be too free with your hands." And looking at her with fury and with exasperation as though he would devour her, Alexei Nikolaevich said in a quiet, stifled voice, "Clear out." "What?" squealed Madame Stutkin. "How dare you? I am a weak, defenseless woman. I won't endure it. My husband is a collegiate assessor. You screw, I will go to Dmitri Karlitch, the lawyer, and there will be nothing left of you. I've had the law of 3 lodgers, and I will make you flop down at my feet for your saucy words. I'll go to your general. Your Excellency! Your Excellency!" "Be off, you pest," hissed Alexei Nikolaevich. Kistinov opened his door and looked into the office. "What is it?" he asked in a tearful voice. Madame Stutkin, as red as a crab, was standing in the middle of the room, rolling her eyes and prodding the air with her fingers. The bank clerks were standing round, red in the face too, and, evidently harassed, were looking at each other distractedly. "Your Excellency," cried Madame Stutkin, pouncing on Kistinov. This man," she pointed to Alexei Nikolaevich, "tapped himself on the forehead and then tapped the table. You told him to go into my case, and he's jeering at me. I am a weak, defenseless woman. My husband is a collegiate assessor, and I'm a major's daughter myself." "Very good, madam," moaned Kistinov. "I will go into it. I'll take steps. Go away. Later." "And when shall I get the money, Your Excellency? I need it today." Kistinov passed his trembling hand over his forehead, heaved a sigh, and began explaining again. "Madam, I've told you already this is a bank, a private commercial establishment. What do you want of us? And do understand you're hindering us." Madame Stutkin listened to him and sighed. To be sure," she assented. "Only, Your Excellency, do me this kindness. Make me pray for you the rest of my life. Be a father and protect me. If a medical certificate is not enough, I can produce an affidavit from the police. Tell them to give me the money." Everything began swimming before Kistinov's eyes. He breathed out all the air in his lungs in a prolonged sigh and sank helpless on a chair. "How much do you want?" he asked in a weak voice. 24 rubles and 36 kopecks. Kistinov took the pocketbook out of his pocket, extracted a 25-ruble note, and gave it to Madame Stutkin. "Take it and go away." Madame Stutkin wrapped the money up in her handkerchief, put it away, and pursing up her face into a sweet, mincing, and even coquettish smile, asked, "Your Excellency, would it be possible for my husband to get a post again?" "I'm going. I am ill," said Kistinov to a weary voice. "I have dreadful palpitations." When he had driven home, Alexei Nikolaevich sent Nikita for some laurel drops, and after taking 20 drops each, all the clerks set to work while Madame Stutkin stayed another 2 hours in the vestibule, talking to the porter and waiting for Kistinov to return. She came again the next day.